Welcome to Taking Healthy Back with Maria, with your host, Maria Malec, experience coach, conscience educator, and destination retreat host, presents to you countless ways to overcome an overwhelmed, overprocessed, and overmedicated lifestyle. She'll be covering everything wellness, from getting more from life than you put into it, destination retreats to healthy cooking and conscious education. So please welcome the host of Taking Healthy Back with Maria.
Welcome back to Taking Healthy Back with Maria. I'm your host, Maria Malec, and I have another wonderful guest today. Her name is Karen Mettam, and she's all the way across the pond in the UK, so I'm really honored that she's here. Karen is a BSL interpreter and biblical leadership and lifestyle coach. What we're going to talk about today is how to empower her path, transforming women's lives with faith and business. What does it mean to be a kingdom influencer? Learn how Karen connects Christian women, entrepreneurs, and a heart to see women find fulfillment in their family, their friendships, faith, and finance. All of that is really taking healthy back. And we'll see how to step into your future as you grow with your identity of who God has called you to be. Always keeping God as your CEO. Welcome back, Karen, or welcome. No, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. And I always love having these conversations with you, Maria. Just incredible. Thank you.
Well, you know, Karen and I met several years ago now, and we met at a retreat, and we didn't know each other. We just kind of got thrown together. The first night we had to share a bed, which it's like, I think we became sisters right when we met. You know what I mean? So it wasn't weird or anything, but we shared so many laughs, and we continue to share laughs. And since then, Karen, both of us have really grown in exponential ways. And I love what you're doing now, because you're helping so many people, and you're getting people, and you're getting young people. So tell us a little bit how you got into what you're doing, and then we'll talk about all the different sectors of that.
Yeah, sure. That's amazing. And I love that. That was such a great retreat. It's so good to get to know you there. So I've been working as a British Sign Language interpreter for deaf people for over 25 years now, and I absolutely love what I do. But I really felt about 3-4 years ago that God was calling me to bring my message to people, because I'd spent 25 years interpreting messages that somebody else had prepared that were kind of coming in and going straight out. And I knew that God was calling me into something, but I didn't know what it was. And God very often works like that for me. And he probably does for a lot of you as well, that it's like you get a thing of like, I feel that I should be doing this, and I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. So in that, I started saying yes to God for a lot of different things. And I kind of started calling myself God's martini girl, of like, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll go wherever it is you want me to do, I'll be your martini girl.
I love that.
Yes, I just started saying yes to him. And it was just such a thing of like, because that resonated so much with me, you know, it's like, okay, I'll start saying yes to things. One of the things that I said yes to was hosting a virtual event that one of my friends was doing over in America. And I never thought this through when I said yes. And this is another recurring theme that I do,
Right?
is say yes to God and then think about it afterwards. And it's like, oh, I'm okay. And so completely forgot about the time difference. So when they were starting at 8 o'clock in the morning on Pacific Standard Time, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon already, my time. So I'd kind of like pretty much had my day, was going into the evening. And so I was working through the night for 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
And one of the speakers at that conference really got my attention, and I kind of stalked her down a little bit afterwards, and I'm like, I need to get on a Zoom call with you. And I rarely do this with speakers, but she captivated me so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that, I was introduced to one of her courses called Radiant Leadership Academy.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm not sure, I'm kind of felt drawn towards it, but at the same time, I'm like, God, I feel you might be calling me into leadership, but I don't feel as though I'm a leader, and I don't particularly like leaders. So I think I can do it. And I did. So I signed up for this 16-week Radiant Leadership Academy. It was a 16-week biblical leadership course. And the reason that I did it, and again, the times were so different. It started at 1:00 in the morning for me. So for 16 weeks, I was staying awake until 1:00 in the
Oh,
morning to do
wow. Okay.
this. So committed to finding out, God, do you see me as a leader? That was the only question that I was asking through the entire course. So it was an amazing course to be on.
Why did you feel that you weren't a leader? Do you think we should all be leaders?
I think that God had to redefine what his definition of leadership was.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at the world's definition of leadership, very often it can be position or power or posture or position or and every time you look at how Jesus led, it was always servant-hearted leadership. And it's so
Servant leadership.
it's so powerful because you look at even on the Last Supper, he knew that Judas was going to betray him, and he chose to wash his feet anyway. And it's like that means more to me as leadership. So for me, it wasn't about what is the position of leadership, what is managerial kind of leadership. For me,
Right.
it's like, what's God's definition of leadership? Well, let me find that for me. And it starts with leading yourself. It started with me learning how to lead me well in every area.
I love that. Yeah. And I think leadership also means just being an example,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so now that you feel like you have found your purpose,
Mm,
how how do you help other people find their purpose? Because I that's been kind of a common theme as well for me in the past couple of years, and I think I finally found my purpose with Taking Healthy Back.
yeah.
And then I feel like God has been grooming me, sharpening my sword for the past 25 years. And while all along I'm like, why am I not taking off? Why isn't no one paying attention? Because he was grooming me first, others. And this has been a long journey for me. And I'm thinking that you guys help cut the learning curve. Is
Mm.
that correct? And how do you do it?
Yeah, I think for me, what I am so passionate about is as soon as I'd got off, as soon as I'd finished that, I realized that I wanted to help other women to go through what I'd been through,
Mm.
to find the leadership within themselves. And so uh, last year, I actually became a coach. I actually became a Radiant Leadership Coach. So I am now hosting my own classes with women from all across the world. But I think one of the most profound things for me was having my mum take the class. And
Oh.
she was 75 years old at the time. And she's like, I'm not a leader, and it's a biblical leadership course. So I'm not into like really heavy theological debates or questions. And I have a really simple trust and faith in God. Um, and so I said, look, just ask God. And she's like, no, I want to do it. And so it was just amazing for me to see my 75-year-old mum come onto this class And we can give ourselves all sorts of excuses, about our age. And it's like, I'm a technophobe. I can't do it. It's too complicated. And she worked out how to log into the course, how to get onto Zoom, how to mute herself, how to come onto camera, learning how to have the confidence on camera to share what God has been speaking about to her that week. Because we have like a little, at the start of every lesson, we have like a sharing time. And so, and at the end of it, just to hear her say, "Oh, I guess I am a leader in my own family," and it was so powerful because I could see that, but God had to reveal that to her. And I'm like, she's 75 years old and she's never seen herself as a leader in this incredible family that she's got. And she's like, oh, I'm a leader in my own sphere. And so this is just a realization of like, I don't have to be a leader in a big company or big corporate. I can lead from my own space of influence, from my own sphere of influence, and we all have different people that we connect with, and that's what's really, for me, is really important because we're born for so much more than what we ever realize, and we live too small for too long.
Right. And we've been disempowered in so many ways by so many different industries. So Girl Power Alliance, is that where you got this training? Is that something different? Kingdom Influencers, that's networking. Talk about the couple different things that these are that people could get involved with. It's women, right? Only women?
Well, actually, we've just launched Real Men Alliance in the last 2 months
That's
because it's
all.
because the women were steaming ahead and like they're growing and they're developing and they're making all these different connections that the guys are like, hey, we want in as well. Excuse me,
Right.
we want to do this. And so when I started Radiant Leadership Academy, Girl Power Alliance was a small membership, a small community of women that were sharing their courses on a platform. And so we're a premier company that provides resources in personal professional development, and they're all Christ-centered, faith-based. So whether the course is not particularly faith-based, because you could be taking a course on how to make sourdough bread or how to, grow on TikTok, there will be references probably to scripture, or that that the person doing that is Christ-centered. And so we have this whole load of different courses, Radiant Leadership Academy,
Okay.
and we also have Kingdom Impact in 10 Minutes. We have our Kim 10 Talks, so which is a Kingdom Speakers Academy, giving us
Okay.
on how to speak publicly with confidence and how to find our message. And so very much like the TEDx talks.
Oh, okay. So do you need to be a member of anything to at least be a part of that aspect of it, the speaker aspect of it?
So there's two different ways that you can be involved in the speaker side of it. There's a retail cost if you just want to buy the course. There's a retail cost, or you can join our VIP membership, and the course is included in that VIP membership along with Radiant Leadership Academy, which I was so amazed about. And the beautiful thing about what Girl Power Alliance is, we're not just wanting to resource people with amazing courses and
Mm.
with resourcing them with community of like-minded women and men, but also resourcing them financially so that we're giving them an opportunity to earn back the cost of the membership. So there's two different aspects to it. There's the learning, the leadership, the programs, but then there's also a business side as well. That's
Okay, Karen, we'll talk about that when we get back. We have a commercial break, so now we know what we're going to talk about when we get back. See you in a minute.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking with Karen Mettam, and today our title of our conversation is Empower Her Path, Transforming Women's Lives with Faith and Business. Welcome back, Karen. So we were talking about the different kind of memberships, and tell us, a little more about that. And I want to talk about your Kingdom Influencers networking. So let's go with the memberships.
Okay, so the memberships within Girl Power Alliance and within Kingdom Alliance, as I say, we've only just recently launched Real Men Alliance as well. And so for Girl Power Alliance, there's two memberships. There is the basic, which just gives you access to the courses that we have, which is $80 a month. And the VIP gives you access to, as I said, the Radiant Leadership Academy. Mm-hmm. I paid $3,500 for that when I did it because there wasn't an option to have it inside of a membership. Okay. So I paid the retail price for it. And when they changed the membership around and they said, right, we're having two different options. We've got the VIP option. We're actually putting the Radiant Leadership Academy inside the VIP, which for me was amazing because I've taken it 2 or 3 times since then. And we also get access to masterminds. We had Caroline Leaf speak this week.
Oh, wow.
Exclusively to us, just telling us just to explain about how the mind works, the mind, brain, body, soul. And it was just amazing because we had Caroline Leaf to ourselves for an hour. And it was just amazing. We've had some amazing guests on. Every month we get like a new guest on a VIP mastermind. And so there's so much in that. And that is $150 a month. But as I said, we've got this opportunity for people to not only earn back the cost of their membership, but to go on and build a substantial business with that.
Right. Well. So talk about that, the business opportunity. I just love that it's all built in, and, including myself, my radar is always up for network marketing, get quick rich type of things, and affiliate programs. And I've had it like literally up to here, like, please people stop already. But I know this is different. So can you explain the difference from what I just talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had said to God back in 2021 in January, it's like, I am so over network marketing. So I'd been doing it for 10 years, and I'm like, I am clearly no good at doing this. I clearly can't do it. Otherwise, I would have been really successful and sort of like making all the money that you can make. And I'm like, clearly, this is not for me. So I said to God, I'm done with network marketing. I'm out of it. And so when a year later, Michelle, who actually set up the company, she left a 6, 7 figure income that she created in network marketing
Wow.
to set up Girl Power Alliance because she was so passionate. Because she's like, there's nothing, we need something where women can get together. And you know, when you get these God-sized dreams that sound really crazy and they sound really big and really huge, and you share them with friends and they look at you as if you've got just grown a second head.
Right.
And it's like, no, I want to be around women that I can share those dreams with, and they're sort of like, dream bigger. You're dreaming too small, you know, and just those women that will kind of pour fuel onto your fire rather than cold water. And so this is the kind of community that we're building here. Women that are passionate about creating kingdom wealth, not because it's like they want all the trappings with that,
Mm.
but because, you know, there is such a need in the kingdom to be resourced. And it's like, I'm not called to go out on missionary work. And I'm
Mm.
probably not called to go to all these different places, but am
Right.
I called to resource that? Oh my goodness, yes. I would love to do that. And there are so many times when something comes up and it's like, God, I want to resource that. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I think it's time for us as Christian women to take territory back in the kingdom wealth area, because we should not be on the back foot of this. And I
Mm.
know this calling is not for everybody, but for those who it is, we get to lose the shame over wanting to create wealth and to create kingdom wealth and to create a residual income. And I think we get to break off the spirit of poverty and the
Mm.
spirit of religion that's been over that for so long. And we get to step up and we get to create this, because I believe at the minute there are so many women that are praying on their knees, praying for this right now, because they're like, I feel like an odd one out. I
Right.
feel as though I don't fit because my dreams are too big or my faith in God is too big. And I want to go on an adventure and I want to do stuff and I want to have fun along the way. And it needs to be fun because God gives us joy. So, sorry, I'm preaching now because I'm
No,
like,
no, 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 no. I love everything you're saying. And I know there's a lot of kingdom builder type things out there. What scripture are you standing on? I know there's a lot of King Solomon kingdom builder types. What do you guys stand on for teaching of, financial wellness? And,
I think as I mean with the girl with the kind of phrase girl power alliance, it's kind of set on a few
Mhm.
different scriptures really, because the word I get some really interesting conversations about the title girl power alliance. And so the girl part comes from, you know, we need to approach God with a childlike faith,
Mm.
in that utter belief that he's God. And when did we stop believing that he can do anything? When did we stop believing that we can approach him as his child, as his daughter, to say, God, I just want to spend time with you. I just want to get to know you and hang out with you as your daughter, and recognizing our identity as his daughter, as a child of God. And so that's where the girl part comes in. So there's probably quite a few scriptures that align with that one. But
Okay, yeah.
sorry, go
I,
on.
I had chills as you were saying all that, which, is an indication of truth, but it sounds like you guys make it cool to hang out with God. And I don't want to, like cool, hip, that kind of thing, but makes you want to. That's what
Mm.
it sounds like. And is Kingdom Influencers, is that completely separate? And I went on your website, KarenMettam.com, and I listened to your video, and it sounds like you created this networking group. Is that right? Or
Yeah,
am I getting things, like, am I combining too many things?
no, to be honest, I started that last year, and that was something that I set up because, again, it was one of those, is God calling me to do this? So I set that
Right.
up, and I've not really done anything with it since then. So I've kind of parked that for a while.
Okay.
So I just really just concentrate on, Girl Power Lines, because I do have a Facebook group called Kingdom Influencers Networking Group, and the
Hmm.
idea for that is just to connect with other Christians in business.
Okay.
And I think I just wanted to, for me, be really clear about where God was calling me to. And sometimes I get ideas that are not from God. Sometimes I get God ideas.
Right,
So
right. Sure, sure. I get that. So how do you meet? Because you said this is global. How do
mhm.
you all meet? And do you ever meet in person? Are there any retreats or events or things of that nature?
Yeah, so one thing that I am so excited about is that last year I went over to San Diego to do the coaching to become a Radiant Leadership Academy coach. And so we had a retreat over there in March of last year. There's just been another 25 women go through the program. So we've got another 25 women that are now Radiant Leadership coaches. And what I'm really excited about is we're going to be having one in the UK in August of this year. And so we're going to be having a retreat in Scotland.
Oh,
August this year for anybody this side of the pond that wants to become a coach for Radiant Leadership Academy. So, but then we also in San Diego in October we have Activate, which is our company conference. So it's just been amazing watching that grow from year on year. Started off with about 50 women in the first year. Last year was around 140, and we're expecting to more than double that this year. So it's just amazing seeing that grow.
that's cool. So this coaching program is a way for people to bring in an income. Is that
Mm.
correct? And how do people get clients? And what is it that you're actually coaching? I'm sure there's, a method and a process.
Yeah, sure. So the way that we do it, it's 16 weeks, and we do an hour's Zoom call every week. And so part of that Zoom call will be people sharing what God's spoken to them about, what they've found out, what their takeaways were, either during the week or from last week's presentation. And then there'll be a taught part of the Zoom session. But then they will be buddied up with accountability partners. And that's where it's really interesting because they change 2 or 3 times throughout the course. So you're not with the same one for the 16 weeks. That will change. Um, and it's, you know what, sometimes it's just God putting people together and making those connections, because I've had some incredible accountability partners that I would never have met had I not been on this course with them. And sometimes their breakthrough becomes my breakthrough because listening to what God's spoken to them actually unlocked something in me when I was doing it. So it's a really powerful part of the course. They get a bit of homework to do, which is it's challenge. Sometimes it can challenge you in ways that you don't expect. So it's not necessarily hard homework, but it can kind of challenge you and bring things up, and you sort of like think, oh, I wonder where that came from. And
Wow.
so we have 4 pillars. So it starts off with mirror, as in who are we? in God's identity. How does He see us? So we spend 4 weeks on that. We spend 4 weeks looking at money, wealth, investment, which is huge. I wish we could spend 16 weeks on that because there needs to be a lot of unpicking and not a lot of relearning about that.
Mhm.
Mind and mouth, we spend 4 weeks on that because what we say is so powerful. And if we only understood the power of our words and the
Yes.
things we say and the impact, how they
Karen,
resonate.
I'm sorry I got to interrupt you. We have another commercial break, but I want to revisit these steps. Okay. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us with Karen Mettam, Biblical Leadership and Lifestyle Coach. Karen was just explaining to us about their 4 pillars in radiant, what's it called? Radiant leadership. Sorry about that. Okay, so I believe you were on pillar number 3.
Yeah, so that pillar 3 is mind and mouth, and just sort of like looking into again how we see, how we speak, and what we see.
Okay.
And the 4th one is magnitude, and looking at where is your sphere of influence, where is it that God's calling you to lead? Because as my mum found out, she's like, well, I've actually spent my entire life leading my family, and got to 5 years old before I've realised what an impact I've actually had on my grandkids and my great grandkids and generations to come. So that's what we start. So those are the 4 pillars: is mirror, money, mindset and mouth, and magnitude.
Yeah, I said that once to someone. I said, you know what? I've already run a business. It's called a family. Leading, delegating, reprimanding, witnessing, being an example. So for me, that empowered me as a woman and for myself when I was getting down on myself. So, that I love that your mom went through this program. Now, is she a coach? Is she coaching anyone?
No, well, she's just finishing up her 2nd class, and I am so tempted to just sort of like say, look, would you want to coach this? Because I think she'd be amazing. But I kind of keep getting we'll see.
Now, is this full time for you? Does this take up all your time? How much of a time commitment is it? And, what kind of, like, how long does it take to prepare or do homework? Because those are always my questions. Like, oh my gosh, 16 weeks? Like, what exactly is involved?
So you get a workbook. Sorry. So you get a workbook when you first start. This is the workbook, and then you just work your way through it. And there's probably 2 or 3 pages per week. And it could be just like read this chapter of the Bible, or do answer these questions. Um, get together with your accountability, which probably take half an hour or so, just to share about the homework.
Mhm.
Not to coach each other, but just to share about the homework. And then you've got the hour class every week. So as
Okay.
a coach, it doesn't take up all my time because I'm still working at the moment full time as a sign language interpreter.
Okay.
So I really am fitting this in the corners of my life, and just with the time that I've got and using that time wisely.
How do you become certified if that's what it is? Do you have to take a test, or what qualifies you then to go on and actually be a coach? Because, you know, I've had a lot of coaches in my journey here,
Mhm.
and not all of them were effective, or in my opinion great. They kind of they over promised and under delivered. You know what I mean? So what actually qualifies someone to go out there and coach through this program?
Yeah, that's another great question. I totally hear you on that. And I think with this is because I realize how powerful the course is itself. Um,
Mhm.
it's certified through the ICF, through the International Coaching Federation. And so, for anybody that wants to go on and become a coach with Girl Power Alliance, to become a Radiant Leadership coach, they have to do an 8-week course, which is online, and then they will have 3 days at a retreat, either in San Diego or in Scotland.
Oh wow. Okay.
All that is certified with Girl Power Alliance through the ICF, which is amazing.
Right. And I know you've been trying to recruit me for a while for this, and I'm getting closer, Karen. I'm not quite ready
Mm,
to go through this program.
yeah.
Um, So, what was I going to say? Here's another question. Um, does a woman have to have this grand story? Does she have to be completely broken and have this big overcoming story? What kind of people are you attracting to this program? Because a lot of times I hear, well, you got to have this story. And I know we all have a story, but we don't all have a traumatic story. So, what can you address that?
Yeah, sure. And I think sometimes that's another trap of the enemy that we can fall into. And I know I've had conversations with my husband before, because he was saying to me, he says, "But I've never gone out and I've not done drugs, I've not slept around, I've not got this kind of rags to riches kind of story, or this kind of real brokenness to restoration kind of story." He says, I became a Christian at 15, and I've lived my life, you know, and there's been nothing traumatic involved in that. And that is your testimony. That's an incredible testimony.
Hmm.
To become a Christian at 15 years old, and to just go through life and just experience what God's got for you. And even if you don't experience that in a huge way, like my mum, she's sort of like said, I've just had this simple faith ever since I became a Christian. Nothing traumatic, nothing dramatic's happened to her. She's 75, 76 now. And for me, that is the biggest testimony, because she doesn't realize how profound that is. That level of faith where it's just that simplicity of like, God, I trust you. And so, so a lot of the women that are on this course, on the course, that come onto the course, it's the transformation of realizing who they are in God that is
Hmm.
biggest transformations of all time. There it's that when that penny drops of like, I really am a daughter of the King. I really am a child of God. I can approach his throne with confidence because he's my dad. You know, I can sit and ask him things. I can spend time in his presence. I can run to him when things are going bad. And it's just for me that it's the simplicity of the course that makes it so profound.
I love I love the simplicity, and that's really what I've been discovering through the past couple of years, because I don't really have a traumatic story, but I think, until I started leaning in and started getting quiet, our lives are so loud and chaotic, and that's where I believe the enemy gets in and keeps us distracted. And it wasn't until I spent so much time alone and I had no one but me, or no one but me and God, that I finally learned how to ask questions and hear his response. And
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing now is my purpose, and I'm laser focused on that. And
Yeah.
I do believe, Karen, that I will join join this group, because at some point I'm going to be like, I need more, and have a bigger voice to reach more people, because we're so sacred. And people treat their cars better than they treat themselves or their bodies. And
That's so
once
true.
you live this way, you don't know how to unlive this way. And
Yeah.
you could still be cool, you could still have fun. It doesn't mean that, you're like lashing yourself, and, it's all sacrifice and suffering. That's not the way it is at
No,
all. You know what I
no,
mean?
yeah. And actually when you look at the fruits of the spirit, it's like, the fruits of the spirit are love and joy and patience and peace and kindness and gentleness. And it's like, so it's all the things that are opposite to what you've just been saying. And it's like that should be the very essence, because that's the essence of who God is. He is
Yes.
love, he is grace, he is patience. And it's great what you were just saying about, when you're spending time with God alone, and that's when you find him. Because somebody said to me last week, and they said, pursue the presence of Jesus before you pursue the strategy. And that
Mm.
was so powerful to me, because I'm thinking, how many times have I run to God and say, hey, good morning, and can I have this, this, and this, and this? And it's like, and he's almost like, I've been sat here on this
Mm.
park bench with a coffee waiting for you to spend some time with you. He says, but you've been like running around chasing pigeons for the last 20 minutes. He says, and you've not realized that I've actually been here waiting to spend time with you. And I think it is that time in his presence of like, that's when the strategy comes, when we put his presence above everything else, is when we get the downloads and the strategies and the kind of, oh, okay, now I see what you're doing.
And let me tell you, Karen, once you start living this way and connecting the dots, things are like exponentially. Like
Yes.
I'm meeting people who are integral in what I'm doing and my mission, and meeting more people like you who are kingdom minded. And I really believe, God is gathering his people, his army. He's building up this army to wake people up to
Yeah.
how glorious it is. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So if we continue to focus on his word and understanding it, that makes him happy. So if he's happy and his happiness is my strength, it's kind of a no brainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, it kind of completely 180 degrees turnaround from what society says, because society will say you've got to hustle and grind, and you've got to be a badass, and you've got to be a boss babe, and you've got to work all this time. And God's saying, actually, just sit with me, sit in my presence, and just meditate on the word, and spend an hour, spend 2 hours in my presence. And you start like thinking, if I spend 2 hours in your presence, how do I have time to do everything else? But like you say, he creates connections that I could never create, that I could never do. And it's like, God, that was
expands time. He expands time. We're going to take this when we get back from our next commercial. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt us, but we got to do what we got to do. We'll see you in a minute.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back. We only have a few minutes left. Karen, I could talk to you all day about this. It's really encouraging me to want to be more involved, and then that would give me more time with you. But do you have some parting words? I know you have a 24-hour devotional that you'd love for people to get their hands on.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to my website, which is heartsacrossthepond.com,
Oh, I love it.
you can, there's two things that you can access there for free. You can access a 24-hour sneak peek into the courses that we have here at Girl Power Alliance. So you can just have a test drive and see what you like about it. And then you can also download a free devotional that we'd love for you to have. Honestly, it's just like, I'm just, as you can tell, I'm just so passionate about this, just to empower people within the kingdom that are not necessarily just business minded, but want to do more, be more, feel as if they're born, they don't know what it is. They just want to be in a community where they feel as though they belong. And so I'd love you to access those two resources. And see what do.
It feels so good to know your purpose. Like when you know, you know. You know what I mean? And really it's peace of mind, and our peace of mind is directly related to our wellness. And I hear so many people saying, well, the universe delivers. Well, who created the universe? You know what I mean? The universe doesn't have consciousness.
Yeah. It's like
I
Is that
used to
thing
be one of
can
those
I
people.
have the creator of the universe and just have a conversation with him, because that would be a lot more fruitful than throwing something out to the universe and hope something sticks.
Right. Well,
Like,
as a friend of mine always said, throwing a bunch of spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. Most of it doesn't, you know. So,
yeah,
Karen, I want to thank you for being on. This went so fast, and I'm honored to know you and know that you're doing such good in the world. And everybody, make sure you tune in again next week. I'm going to have Andre the Farmer. So tune in so you know what that's all about. Because when you come to Taking Healthy Back with me, Maria, that you're going to get the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set to transform your challenges into well being. And that's what this mission is all about. And Karen, thank you for joining us to contribute to that mission. So we'll see you
it's
next
been
week.
an absolute honor. Thank you for what you're doing, Maria. It's just been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This has been Taking Healthy Back with your host, Maria. Tune in each week as Maria will empower you to put your wellness in your control. Right here, Fridays, noon Eastern, on the Bold Brave TV network.